Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, brought to you by the Drive-In Podcast Network, where we take a glance into comic book movies, blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and I'm joined by my co-hosts here today, Devin, and today we are going to be giving you our insights into the latest HBO Max original movie that is titled The Fallout. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on platforms around the internet. And if you're a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Show us some love and leave us a 5-star rating and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at FilmOptix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any of your movie-related questions. Devin, how you been, man? Happy Saturday.
It is a Saturday. I can't believe we're recording on a Saturday. It's been so long.
It does feel like forever. You know, it's the beginning of the year, and you know it's slower releases for sure. But there's not enough to watch in the theater, but there's plenty to watch at home right now. So it's crazy stuff. I mean, we have Peacemaker, Euphoria. My gosh, there's a new show, or season 2 of Raised by Wolves starts next week. So it's been a lot of back and forth. We had Scream come out. We've been doing the Hunger Games franchise revisited, which you can actually find our first episode up on the podcast as of right now. And then once February hits, we'll be doing that next installment. But yeah, it's been pretty slow.
I watched the first 2 episodes of After Party last night.
Did you? Okay, see,
it's good.
It's good. Okay, so
it's Lord and Miller, so
right.
It has to be good.
I am planning on watching it today because I was thinking about signing up for Apple TV Plus again, and then I turned on my LG Smart TV, whatever you want to call it, and a little notification popped up. It's like, oh, here's 3 months of Apple TV Plus. Free on us. Like it's a coupon, so it's not like one of those, oh, if you're new, it's only applies to like new sign up, as in so it's really nice. So yeah, I got another 3 months. I'm like, cool, I gotta catch up on Dickinson season 3 anyway, and I gotta check out the After Party. So if that could definitely turn into something for sure. I've been hearing some really good things about the After Party on Apple TV Plus. I think 4 episodes are out right now.
I think it's only 3.
Okay, I'm not entirely. I thought it's all
I watched.
Okay, I thought I saw 4. Double check and make sure. But actually, how are you watching Apple TV Plus, on your Fire Stick?
Just on my TV.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you have the app on your TV too. Okay, sweet. Nice. So as I mentioned before, today we're going to be covering the latest HBO Max film titled The Fallout. So we're going to get right into the action for you guys. We're going to be doing a non-spoiler section, and of course a spoiler section down the line once you hear that little bad boy. But we'll be right back with our coverage of The Fallout right after this short break.
Tell me about your brother.
He was always making me laugh.
What are you feeling right now? I feel mad.
You went through something no one should ever have to go through.
Can you stay just till I fall asleep? Life's hard.
You're right. Life's confusing!
I can't feel anything!
All right, and we are back. That was a small little snippet of the trailer of The Fallout. Again, this is now streaming on HBO Max, so you don't even have to leave the comfort of your own home to watch this very powerful story. This is directed and written by Megan Park. I believe this is her directorial debut, and stars Jenna Ortega, which she also starred in the latest Scream movie, which is now, as of this recording, playing in theaters. And also stars Maddie Ziegler and Niles Fitch. And the story is as follows. High schooler Vada navigates the emotional fallout she experiences in the wake of a school tragedy. Relationships with her family, friends, and view of the world are forever altered, which is, honestly, I cannot put it in a better sense. Before we begin the actual, coverage of this. Just want to let you guys know, even for the non-spoiler section, this story, that this movie does cover a lot of sensitive information, mainly dealing with school shootings. So we kind of wanted to let you guys know that on the front end. So there are no surprises as you are listening to this episode today. So just want to let you guys know, if it's something that we're going to be talking about a few triggering things. So if you do not feel comfortable with that, I think it'd probably be best to kind of bow out now, but just want to let you guys know, just up on the front end so that we can kind of get into our coverage here. And I guess I'll pass it over to Devin here so he can give his initial reactions of the movie, The Fallout.
Yeah, it's definitely heavy stuff here. The material itself and the subject matter. I would definitely recommend a box of tissues next to you if you're planning on watching, because it's a lot. And I don't know if I've ever cried that much. Maybe Coco might be close, but this was it's just such a frustrating topic because it just keeps happening, especially in our country. And it doesn't seem like there's an end in sight. And that's what is so frustrating about it. And that's why the ending hits so hard as well, because it's just so true. It's like the ending is so accurate as to what it feels like in real life, which is just so unfortunate. But yeah, I think Jenna Ortega is definitely a star in the making. She's been in a few things. It feels like once they have their breakout role, it kind of just like continues the momentum and they just kind of keep going. And this is just another good role for her. Maddie Ziegler was a surprise. She's I think she was in the Dance Moms TV show. Yeah, she looked kind of familiar. It's definitely weird especially for Jenna Ortega. Her coming from a Disney Channel star, and kind of now getting into those more serious roles. Definitely, I think Scream would probably be her breakout role. But I'm not sure. When she was filming for Scream and for The Fallout back to back, because they kind of hit like 1-2 type situation, because since they pretty much came out in the same month of this year of January in 2022. So to kind of start the year off fresh with Jenna Ortega is it's pretty interesting, but I do apologize. Do you have anything else you wanted to add? And I also thought the younger sister did a really good job. She looked really familiar. I was trying to figure out what else she was in. I thought she was Julia Butters from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for a second, but they are not the same.
No, not at all. But yeah, I do agree. The younger sister, she did a great job. Honestly, the entire cast did. And, there are some characters within this story that, it dives a little bit deeper than others. But I guess I'll get my initial reactions now. Mine kind of echoes Devin in a way. I thought this film was very important for people to watch, just because I watched the film Mass that came out last year. Well, it's kind of sort of an awards talk, not getting as much love as I thought it would, but Mass is also dealing with school shootings, directed by Fran Kranz. And I believe Jason Isaacs and Dowd is a part of the cast as well. And Mass deals with it deals with the mass school shootings, but from the parents' side, between the a pair of parents of the shooters and the victim themselves. And this movie, The Fallout, really shows the other side of, what it's like for students in that situation. I thought Mass was a film that really tackled a lot of, pressing issues, and it gave you a very interesting insight, because the entire movie is literally just, these parents sitting in a church and talking about what happened, and, from their experience, their side of it, and, what it was like for them during a mass school shooting. But of course, with The Fallout, as we're talking about here on today's show, it's very, it focuses more on the inner psyche of, the kids that have, been through this, and how it can happen in a moment's notice. And I think Jenna Ortega and the rest of the cast and crew Especially Maddie Ziegler did a fantastic job with it really shows the importance of not just, you know, how short life is, but how a traumatic events like this can really bond people together who otherwise probably would never have spoken to each other. Because as we see, you know, without giving too much away, you know, Jenna and Vada, I should say, and Mia, played by Jenna and Maddie respectively. Vada and Jenna live like totally different lives. And you kind of see Vada and her best friend Nick, played by Real Rope. You kind of see their day to day, you know, they definitely have some depth and friendship that the film definitely tackles, but you know, the whole, and this is part of the trailer, so I really don't consider this part of the spoiler. So if you haven't seen the trailer, but, you know, the whole bathroom scene that like the trailer kind of kicks off with, you know, Vada is complimenting Mia saying, oh, you know, you don't even need to wear makeup. And then it kind of just happens all together. And then you really see how this story, you know, it affects all these kids, you know, Quentin, which we'll get into in a little bit with Nick, and then Mia, and then especially Vada, and even, you know, extending to Vada's family. And again, by the way, when we were talking about Scream, about, you know, all these, like, more of a lighter subject, really quick side note, when you had mentioned that, like, all of these, like, white actors are producing these very, like, Hispanic or just, like, very brown children, I feel like that's kind of the same way here. A little bit, especially with Vada's family. The father,
it's a modern family.
Yeah, oh, definitely, 100%. But it was just a little. I was like, okay, like I think Vada's mom, Patricia, you know, played by Julie Bowen, was really great. But yeah, it was just more of a this. I don't know what their situation is, so it doesn't really matter. I just thought it was kind of an interesting thing to bring up, a little bit of more of a lighter mood. But yeah, the back to my original point of my reaction, you know, just the psyche of, you know, how this not only affects Vada, like it really affects Vada, and of course, and actually extends out to her little sister, and then Mia, and then, you know, it kind of.
I like how it portrays it. It affects everybody differently too, because everybody copes with it and everybody has their own ways of dealing with it.
Right. Yeah. That's what I really like about it, is that, you know, you had Nick, who, you know, decided to kind of, you know, say no more when it comes to this type of situation. Of course, it's, you know, I'm trying to talk about spoilers without getting into spoilers, but but yeah, I think it's a very powerful film. I think people should watch it. It's only around an hour and 38 minutes. Hour and 32 minutes. So it's not a super long movie, and it's just very eye-opening. And it's also a very big, like, Gen Z movie, because, you know, the way that the high schoolers talk isn't necessarily the way that we talk when we were in high school, but we can kind of pick up, like, we know what they're saying because we're still young enough to, I guess, know what's what. But, you know, when it comes to how, especially with Gen Z, with Generation Z, and how they are focusing on these kind of subjects with them, because it's, I mean, we never really, I'm not saying that we didn't have school shootings growing up, but they were not as common as they are now. And it seems that they are happening more and more throughout the United States, more than ever, which is very unfortunate. And I think the ending of the film really, it's not a happy ending, but it's a realistic ending for sure. But did you have anything else you wanted to mention before we get into spoilers? Because I feel like we're going that way, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, we're going that way.
We're going that way. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your first spoiler warning for the movie The Fallout. Again, that is your second spoiler warning for the movie The Fallout. So if you haven't seen it, you know, just pop on your couch, watch it on HBO Max. You're all good to go. You know, you can watch it in an hour and 30 minutes and then hop back onto the podcast and listen to the rest of it and be like, wow, those guys are making some pretty good points there. Absolutely. But I don't even know where to begin, to be honest, because it's such so much stuff happens, but I guess we could just start from the beginning. When Jenna is in the bathroom with Mia or Vada. I'm sorry, I'm like interchanging their character and real life names, but when Vada, I'll just say Vada and Mia just to make it easier. So when Vada's, in the bathroom and, you just start like the first thing actually I want to touch on is that I like how they were able to tackle the subject of school shooting without having to show the violence, especially in this situation. I know there's a lot of, when we watch Scream, obviously, that's something we expect to see, like the bloodthirsty kills and whatnot. But for a sensitive topic like this, I really appreciate how they were able to portray what was going on just through the audio, by the sound, by the noise. And I feel like the audio or the sound was enough to invoke like this type of fear and horror into, Vada and Mia. And then later on, when Quentin comes into the bathroom and he's mourning over his brother, and it just really brings those three characters together in a way, but it's kind of more so Vada has created two separate relationships instead of it being Quentin, Mia, and Vada together, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And also, it kind of affects Vada's relationship with Nick in the end, because they just kind of drift apart after this, because they kind of go their different directions in their grieving process, because Nick becomes more of an activist. He goes on TV and he becomes this strong advocate for ending these type of things, and that's what he's really focused on, and he's very into that. He's very dedicated to it. But Jenna, I did it too. Vada,
yeah.
Vada just kind of doesn't know how to handle this. She doesn't know how to cope with this, so she just kind of tries to find somebody that she can connect with Mia, and they become really close friends. And she just kind of drifts away from other people, including her family too, in some ways, because she knows that she has a good family. She has good parents. They care about her, and she recognizes that. But at the same time, she just feels like at this moment in her life, she can't connect with them, especially after such a tragedy that she's going through, because she doesn't know how to cope with it, and she doesn't think that they can help with that either. And that kind of comes through in this movie, and I like that as well.
Yeah, it is a very it's interesting to see how many relationships are ruined for something that, Vada wasn't necessarily even responsible for, because she herself is a victim. And like you said, her between Vada and Nick, their friendship during the beginning was more close knit. But then, you see another side where, after the shooting, where Mia reaches out to Vada. You can kind of see how Vada looks up to Mia in a certain way, because Mia is a dancer. She has a lot of followers on Instagram, things of that nature. And, things seem to be going well in her life. But then, after the shooting, Mia reaches out to Vada, and I really like how their exchange was, hey, I'm here. We're not saying much, but, I'm here if you need me. And
especially for Mia, because she's completely alone. She doesn't have anybody.
Right. Yeah. And we do find that out in the movie, after Vada eventually, finally meets up with Mia after the happening, and you find out, Mia has like on the surface, like this really great life. She has a super nice house, but, her parents are artists, and, they're always abroad in Europe. So it's essentially a high schooler, living on their own. And, obviously after the shooting, giving, the students, a few weeks to cope and kind of do their own thing. And I really liked how Shailene Woodley, if people don't know her.
Yeah, that was a pop-up appearance there. Wasn't expecting.
I was very surprised. I mean, I haven't seen her since like The Secret Life of the American Teenager, to be honest. I think she was in the Divergent films, I want to say, or was that
Jennifer
Lawrence. But yeah,
I
Aaron
don't
Rodgers'
think Jennifer
wife.
Lawrence double down on that one.
Yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers' wife for sure. But it was nice to see her, her character Anna playing the therapist. And I it's just been a while since I've seen her. It's like, wow. But between Vada and obviously it focuses more on Vada, but it does focus on Mia at times too, and it really just shows Vada kind of just has this like carefree attitude for a while, where it's like like you said, everyone's coping in their own way, and it's quite like it may seem unhealthy because she starts drinking, dabbling in drugs a little bit, getting high on the E. But
in class,
yeah, for it being a very sensitive topic, I really appreciate and enjoy how Megan Parks was able to bring some lightheartedness to it. Especially, Vada was feeling herself in class, just like right after, and that music started playing. I'm like, I feel like I'm watching an episode of Euphoria right now.
Yeah, it easily could have been a Euphoria transition.
Yeah, for sure. I can hear Rue talking about, Vada wasn't always, like this and whatever, her nice little intros. I'm like, oh, give it to me. Yes. But yeah, very Euphoria-esque. But at the same time, it is its own story, obviously, and it tackles a different topic that I don't think a lot of people are ready to necessarily talk about when it comes to film. I think it was very important that this was made because it's insane. They kind of touch on the topic with Nick leading the I guess the not the fundraiser, but the movement at his school, and saying, I feel like, I need to do my part and just make sure this never happens again. But we soon find out, towards the end of the movie, that it just, no matter what you do, it just keeps happening over and over. And you see Vada talking.
And that's the part that's so realistic, because that's exactly how it goes. Like, you'll see you'll get desensitized because you see it in the news so often that there's just this awful event after awful event, and then it'll happen one night, and then you wake up the next morning and you get another notification. It's just too much, and you can tell she's just kind of breaking down at that point because it's overwhelming.
Yeah, because Vada was finally. Well, speaking about the ending, of course, and I want to touch on Quentin as well, but talking about Vada, towards the end of the movie, we do see her. She's finally in a better place. She does recognize that she has been pushing people away in her life. She has been pushing away, her mother, her father. She's been,
I like how she opens up to her mom, and then the nice joke there with the wine. And she's like, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to talk.
Yeah. And, Vada making, just sexual advances on, the people that she was that were there when it happened, between her and Mia, and then her realizing that her making those advances on Mia was a mistake, and she doesn't want to lose the friendship that she has with Mia. And then Quentin, of course, the character who lost his brother in the shooting, and I think they were able to. It wasn't just that's Quentin, like he's the the one character is the brother who died during the shooting. Like you actually see right after, Vada has this small little like trinket box, and she just is piling them up with with memorabilia, and and the I'm blanking the name on the actual the programs that they give out during funerals, and cards, remembrance cards and things of that nature. This keeps piling higher and higher and higher. So clearly they were able to convey that there were other students instead of Quentin's brother who was actually killed. But it does focus a little bit more on Quentin's brother. The nice car scene that Vada and Quentin have together, where that
was a great scene.
Yeah. I really, really appreciate it. But I feel like I've been talking here forever. Is there anything you wanted to bring up, Devin? I do apologize for hogging the airtime.
Yeah, I think the scene that stood out the most for me and the one that definitely hit the hardest and had the most impact was when Vada's sister, Amelia, crawls into her bed. She can't sleep, and then they kind of have a conversation, and that conversation just kind of, that one wrecked me because she felt neglected by her sister, and she felt like she was to blame for what happened because of the text exchange they had that day. And just that conversation between sisters is just so, it's just so heartwarming to see in that scene. Yeah. And I just love how reassuring Vada is to her that, and then when she mentions that she only sent out one text in that stall and it was to her, like that really hit hard.
Yeah, and it really gave Vada a chance to be vulnerable with her sister, and Amelia feeling bad, saying, hey, like I'm the reason why you left class that day. And it's like, well, in a weird, strange turn of events, it was almost as if like Amelia saved her sister's life, because if it wasn't for that text, she would not have, left to like, see what's going on. And then, of course, just like out of, chance, she went to like use the bathroom and whatnot. And then that's when everything happened. And, we never see who the shooter is. I think they do mention him by name, but I can't remember who. But I really like how during the their therapy sessions that Vada has with Anna, that, she's trying to figure out, is there a reason why I'm alive? And she comes to realize like there is no reason. It was purely by chance. And, it's not anyone, it's not that, oh, like, why did so-and-so die? It was just, unfortunately, the wrong place at the wrong time type of situation.
And she mentions how she feels a responsibility to do something about it, to make something of this event and do something with her life in order to just try to make the world better, because she sees what Nick is doing and she sees the impact he's having, and she feels pressure to do that herself. It's just a lot of weight on someone's shoulders.
Yeah, it's a very it's these sudden movements, these sudden events that can, and you see Vada kind of sort of just saying, hey, like, I'm not sure if I want to go back to school yet, and kind of just putting it off. And, Mia was in a different situation, saying that, oh, she can homeschool for the rest of the year, but it's kind of like, you have to move on with your life to a certain extent. And, not saying that you have to forget the past, but, I think that goes back to the ending where it's almost as if, Vada has manifested this like case of PTSD, towards the end, where she gets she's supposed to be meeting up Mia after her dance class. Mia has decided to go back to dance after everything that's happened. And it's kind of like Vada, like redefining herself in a way. She, like I said before, she's in a better place. And then she gets a news notification that, there was a school shooting at Ohio. And it's kind of like, it's a message of, this keeps happening. Obviously, yes, we need to do something about it. It needs to be addressed. And that, unfortunately, like, even though that Vada and the rest of her classmates have somewhat moved on from their own experiences, it is still happening elsewhere. And her being a part of that situation where it's like, hey, like, I was there, at my school when it happened, and just bringing up a lot of anxiety, because the ending is just her in this huge panic attack, and it kind of, the movie just ends. So it's very, all right. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. We had a bit of technical difficulties on our side. So we're actually just going to close out here. We're going to give our closing thoughts and our ratings, and then we're just going to kind of close out here. So Devin, give us your closing thoughts and your rating, and then I'll do the same.
Yeah, overall, definitely a powerful, if not frustrating just because of the topic, movie. I think the director and writer definitely had a very, very strong debut here, especially a first time directing. There's definitely a few cool shots in here. I guess one issue I had was you can definitely tell that, I mean, that they're obviously selling it as a Gen Z, like generational movie, but you can definitely tell it was written by somebody older. Because a lot of the dialogue is like they're YOLOing a lot. I don't think Gen Z does YOLO. I think that's more of our generation.
Yeah, that and responding with LOL like in person. I can't speak for Gen Zs out there, but
yeah, obviously we're not Gen Z, but I feel like, and then there's like a lot of low key here and there. I think that's pretty common, but the thing that stuck out to me was YOLO. I don't think Gen Z is saying YOLO.
No, that's definitely a millennial thing. I personally feel like, for sure.
And we don't even say that anymore. So it's like, that's how old that is.
Like if someone says it, it's like in the form of a joke.
Yeah.
Which is really hilarious. But yeah, and also just the original score was actually done by Billie Eilish's brother Phineas, which is very well, kind of given the song during the trailer. It was a Billie Eilish song as well. But job well done there. Phineas really fit the tone of the movie overall. But yeah, my closing thoughts pretty much the same to Devin's. As much as like I do agree with like the the dialogue, especially from the Gen Zers, it did feel a bit awkward, but it's like I don't necessarily know if like I can't confirm this with someone who's a Gen Z. You know what I mean? It's weird. But I mean, if they are talking that way, more power to them. If not, it is what it is.
Only time will tell if this does resonate with that generation.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. But I mean, a job well done by like everyone. It's such a important story that definitely needs to be told. And if you haven't seen Mass, I believe that is on video on demand on like streaming platforms such as like Vudu, iTunes, things of that nature. Honestly, I think you can watch these like back to back and get a very full understanding of both sides of the experience of the students and parents of the victims and parents of deceased of one of the students as well. So the tones between both are the same in a way, but there is, Mass is more of not for Gen Z type people, but I think everyone should watch both The Fallout, which is streaming on HBO Max, and definitely watch Mass, which is on video on demand on specific streaming platforms, as I mentioned before. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to like keep repeating myself, but just a job well done. The themes that they were able to tackle without having to show too much blood and gore was a really, really nice touch. And just the overall, like, life just goes on. And, even while people are addressing this, it's still happening. So it's not even I need to stand up and like, voice my opinion. It starts with, the source, which is, our laws that we have to follow here in the States, our government, things of that nature. But I don't want to get too much into that. But overall, what was your score again? I do apologize. I didn't give it. I'm gonna go with like an 86. Okay.
Just super strong. A few minor issues here and there.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely a strong debut and a strong voice.
Right. Yeah. For me, on Letterboxd, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's a very, very like strong, solid film. I was teetering giving it a 4.5, but I just put in my small little response, BRB, gonna go cry type situation. So I felt like that was, BRB is not even a Gen Z thing, but I don't know. It's some.
I think at one point one character said "Be right, B." And I was like, that's not a thing.
I'm sorry, listeners. Today just hasn't been our day. We are experiencing so many technical difficulties. So I'm going to close this out here on my own. So pretty much that concluded our coverage of the Fallout. Again, that is streaming on HBO Max, so definitely check that out. And I wanted to let you guys know exactly what's coming up here on the show. So we have our Jackass Forever review that will be dropping on February 3rd. And we also have a bonus episode for you guys this year. It kind of came out of the blue, but I will be joined by my friend Dibes over at the Suit Up Geeks podcast, as well as two of my friends. We're going to be covering The Witcher season 2 for you guys. And of course, we're going to be continuing our franchise revisited series of The Hunger Games with Catching Fire that'll be debuting sometime in February, but just wanted to let you guys know that. But again, wanted to let you guys know, for those who don't know, we actually have a Discord, so you can definitely sign up for our Discord in the episode link down below. And make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you're listening on those respective platforms. And always make sure to share this episode with a friend, your mother, your brother, your lover, whoever it might be. Share them this episode or any of our other episodes. You know, we have a lot of Harry Potter coverage we've done here within this past year, The Matrix. We just have a lot of good content that I think people out there would love to listen to. So, you know, if TVs and movies are more of your thing, definitely share one of our episodes, one of your friends, and, you know, maybe they can become a part of our little community. And with all that said, I'm going to close this out here for today. So that is a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian. We'll see you guys in the next one.